And I think this is the most important factor of direct selling. And I think we should think in terms, center and state-wise, to nurture and develop this particular thing. The other important aspect which I think is that it has tremendous facility for employment generation. Now, worldwide you'll notice the phenomenon of salespersons and others yielding place to robots. I was astonished to read the other day that in Japan they are replacing customs inspectors with robots. And they have already done that. In the United States, which I know because I go every year to the United States, they have replaced salespersons in various major supermarkets and others like Walmart and others with robots. And what is more important, that they have drones to supply pizzas and other things instead of salespeople. So there is a complete sea change insofar as employment opportunities are concerned. And of course, if you talk about major industries, capital industries, less said the better, because in the entire automotive sector, many skilled workers are being replaced by robots. Therefore, if you take the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of thinking in terms of 500 million jobs to be provided in the next 20 years, the only way you can think of is to see the employment opportunities available in various sectors which cannot be automated. And the only thing, one of the major issues and one of the major sectors we can think of where you can consistently think in augmenting the employment opportunities lies in the sector of direct selling. And therefore, I think it behoves on every one of us, whether in the private sector or in the public sector or in the corporate sector or in the government, to think in terms of finding a support mechanism to see that this develops in a very large measure. Today in the presentations you have seen how much income generation you can think of, how much by way of taxes you can think of. And I was a little sad to find that there is a drop in terms of the number of people who are employed and the generation. This needs to be looked at. And I think the most critical thing was mentioned by Rita here, that any state will develop and ensure its success if you put in place a foolproof regulatory mechanism. Because one of the things which needs to be looked at is that, for example, if you think any other company, for example, if you go to a supermarket or even if you go to a e-retailer, if there is any fault in the product which was offered for sale, then you can go to the consumer court. Therefore, you must think in terms of a regulatory mechanism which embraces direct selling, where if there is a faulty product, it is be possible for them to go to the seller, the buyer to go to the consumer court, or vice versa. So that has to be fine-tuned in terms of a regulatory mechanism which will embrace the consumer forums also to look at any problems which arise in terms of a dissatisfaction between the buyer and the seller. So this is one aspect which will have to be looked at. And this is something which needs to be carefully examined, and how to slot it in without causing harassment for everybody concerned, including the seller. Because in many cases and the second thing is that since we are thinking and extending it to the rural areas, there are many people in the self-help groups of women whom we should encourage for direct selling. They may not be au fait with what are the nuances of these regulatory mechanisms. Therefore, sensitization, training for these people to adopt to direct selling becomes a must when we take it into the rural areas as far as this is concerned. The final point is with the introduction of goods and services taxes. How are we going to think in terms of a mechanism to ensure that there is no problem of tax harassment and others, which needs to be carefully looked at. Registration, how to think in terms of taxation, whether it will be an exemption limit, which tax limit will come depending on the products. These are some things which need to be factored in when we are thinking in terms of pushing this and extending the ambit of direct selling and other. Therefore, I think it's a concatenated strategy, and I think it's a strategy which needs to be worked out jointly, not only with the center, but with the states also. And I'm sure Tamil Nadu being one of the most progressive states, not because I'm a former bureaucrat from Tamil Nadu, but it needs, they are a progressive state, and definitely they'll provide for the support, because the vision of the dynamic vision of the Honorable Chief Minister, one of the things which forms the golden thread in our Vision 2023 is to provide employment opportunities, especially for women in the rural areas. Therefore, I think it is necessary that we examine the things, work out what are the points which need to be examined very carefully, slot them into a total strategy and work it out. And then once you do it, and taking into account the tremendous employment opportunity and the benefits which will accrue in terms of income generation and also the taxes to the state government, it will definitely be in the next decade at least a win-win situation as far as the direct selling is concerned. Thank you.